What's up, you absolute legends? Welcome to the one and only Footy Podcast. We're going to be reviewing the prelims from last week and previewing the grand final tomorrow. Yeah! This is the best footy podcast. You want unbiased, proper opinion, the best opinion, not the best, but unbiased, unfiltered. Everything is me. Even when it comes to Hawthorn, I'm unbiased, mate. I knew they wouldn't win the premiership. Everyone else was, but I'm unbiased. So, what? Eat that one. Eat that one, Port Adelaide. Eat that one, Geelong. Get off my bed. Look at this dog, man. Look at this dumb dog. What's she doing? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Uggy. 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 This podcast. What are you doing? You funny. You funny. Tiku tiku. Tiku tiku. This podcast is dedicated to my lovely partner, Sedona. It's dedicated to you. Even though you're too scared to be part of this podcast. I don't know why. No cameo. I said, come join. No. Too scared. I don't like my voice on camera. Not good enough. Anyway. For that tangent, I apologise. Let's go straight to it. Last Friday, Sydney Swans, Port Adelaide, SCG, prelim, sold out, packed out house. I predicted Sydney would have won, and I was right. And they won by more than expected, though. They won by 6 goals, and Port Adelaide didn't show up. The pressure was terrible. They come off a nice wins against Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval, the semi-final the week before. They had gusto, they had power against Hawthorn. In this game, Sydney just mopped the floor with them. They didn't even try. Port Adelaide 8 goals 11, so inaccurate kicking hurts you too, but Dixon didn't fire a shot. Georgiades wasn't very good. Willioli wasn't very good. I couldn't really tell you a Port Adelaide player that played well, besides maybe Aaliyah, but... This Horne-Francis was good and Boak was good, but like Butter was quiet, Rosie was quiet, Wines was quiet, Drew was quiet. Yeah. Dixon, non-existent. Rosie kicked 2, Boak 1, Georgiades 1, Burgoyne 1, Burden 1, Rioli 1, and that's it. Wines kicked 3 behind, Drew kicked 1 behind, Evans 1 behind. Yeah. Wasn't a good showing from the forwards, definitely not. And this game led to Dixon retiring, but Dixon knows he's washed and he knows he's cooked, so I'm glad he has self-awareness. But he kicked 1 goal off 1 goal off 12 touches, and not a big game whatsoever. And he's been very quiet during these finals, Dixon. But for Sydney, winners all around. Amadi 3 goals, Papley 3 goals, Heaney 2, McDonald 2, Warner 2, McLean 1, Lloyd 1. Yeah. And in the midfield, Sydney just killed. Grundy got the win in the ruck over Sweet, Goulden, Heaney, Florent, Warner, Blakey, Lloyd, McInerney, all played very well. Roberts, Rowbottom. Yeah, they played very well, mate. The Sydney players played very well. Maybe not Parker, but that's okay, because they had a team performance. How's my man go? My man Grundy had 15, so not bad. Not bad. He had 28 hit outs. That's pretty good too. Yeah, I said man of the match is probably Heaney again. He went crazy. He had 24 and 2 goals. And Warner played very well, very, very well. Just Warner, Heaney, and Goulden are just such good players, man. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they have their off games and they lose, but when they win, they all play very well. And they didn't tag any. I think they tagged Heaney, but it didn't really work, did it? 24 and 2 goals. He limited his touches, but he still kicked 2. And yeah, it was 95 to 59, so Sydney have a nice score. Port Adelaide's score was very low, and yeah, Sydney's midfield is a lot better. Their defense stood up at some point, but in the end, Sydney's attack was better than Port Adelaide's defense, and Sydney's defense was better than Port Adelaide's attack because Ratugolea and all of them. Ugh. Hang on. Sorry about that. People messaging me. And what else can we say about this game? Sydney, after the grand final, Sydney were the favourites. Sydney had the week off, so it was expected, but I thought it'd be a lot closer. But Port Adelaide just can't win a prelim. This is another lost prelim to Ken. 2014 they lost the prelim. 2020 they lost the prelim. 2021 they lost the prelim. And 2024, which is this year. So we've lost 4 prelims under Ken. They haven't been to a grand final under Ken. So what can Ken do? I don't know. Like, I mean, the team is not talented enough either, because Radigal and Burke Thatcher are not like premiership level defenders, are they? And then they put Radigal forward, so they don't know what to do with them. And like, I don't know, the forward line can be weak sometimes, because Georgiades is the main guy. Him and Rolia can be consistent, but their forward line is not good enough to a premiership, or the back line either. The midfield, Horne-Francis, Butters and Rosie are good in the midfield, and Wines and Drew. So they got a very talented midfield, and Boak off the wing, but like, yeah, I don't know. Sweet is a talented enough ruckman, but I don't know, this team is not premiership worthy if you're comparing it to Sydney, Brisbane, you know, even Geelong, you know. I would even say GWS is a better list, and Western Bulldogs have a better list than Port Adelaide, so. Yeah, they just, I don't know, Port Adelaide maybe, I don't know. What can they do to win a premiership? Better defenders, better forwards, and then that's probably it, I guess. But you need a forward, a Jeremy Cameron, a Jesse Hogan, someone of that level, a Larkey, to push this team over the top. Unless Georgiades becomes that player, or like Sydney, and Marty McDonald are not world beaters as forwards, but their midfield is so good and the defence is so good that the forwards can be a bit weaker. Because they depend on the midfield of Sydney to kick a lot of goals, and Port Adelaide is not the case, so that's why Sydney doesn't need a strong forwards, but still a Marty and McDonald can be consistent, can have their good games, can be inconsistent, but yeah. Good win by Sydney, another grand final, second grand final in 3 years. And another grand final under Longmire, which will be his 5th, I think, 2012, 2014, 2016, 2022, 2024. So Sydney's always there in the back end of the year. Sydney is always contending almost every year, similar to Geelong. So good on him, Sydney. Longmire has a very good record on coach. He's been there, 14 years, and he's made finals 12 of the 14, so good on him. Good on him. We got a good list too, so that helps, obviously. And every time someone retires, they just bring someone new in and just, yeah. Look, Heaney's a star, Goulden's a star, Warner's a star, Blakey's a star, Papley's a star. They got a lot of good players. And even Haywood's a very good player. And they've got a lot of good players all over the ground. So Grundy's a good player, very good ruckman. And they needed a ruckman, so that helps them. Stop licking my bed, you dog. Look, say hello. You see a baby. Her name Poppy. Say hello. She's so cute. I know she is. But she's vicious. Scary, aren't you? That's wet nose. And then the other game, it was Geelong and stop licking my bed. And then we had, on the Saturday, it was Geelong and Brisbane at the MCG, and Geelong had the week off, but they beat Port in the qualifying final, and Brisbane came off a crazy comeback win against GWS at NG Stadium the last week before in the semi-final. And Geelong were the favourites, and I had picked Geelong because Brisbane did not play well at the G. It's been like, everyone knows that, they don't play well at the G, and there hadn't been Geelong in Victoria for 20 years since the 2004 prelim final. So it was a long time between drinks, and I don't know, Geelong just a lot better playing at the G than Brisbane. The Brisbane only play there very rarely, and even when they do play at the G, they're not playing very well. Over the last, 10, 15 years, they've only won 3-4 times at the G, so they're not very good at the G. But then unexpectedly, Brisbane won the game, and Geelong had the control of the game up to three-quarter time, or basically mid-third quarter. They were up by 20, and then Brisbane just went bang, 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 bang. Archie went crazy, and yeah, so who else went crazy? Archie, Bailey, Rayner, all the multiple goals. Charlie Cameron, Logan Morris. And then that's after, after half-time, it was 9 goals Brisbane ways, 4 goals Geelong. And Geelong kicked 4 goals 6 after half-time to Brisbane's 9 goals 5. So Brisbane were quite inaccurate at the start. And then in the end, they ended up straight kicking, and then Geelong was the opposite. And yeah, Lockie Neal had a crazy game. He wasn't tagged, so he played very well. And McCluggage and Berry and Will Ashcroft and Dunkley and Zorko and Wilmot and Ainsworth and Lester and Bailey and Rayner and Fletcher. A lot of players at over 15. They were very solid in the back, very solid in the ruck. Even when McInerney went down with a shoulder injury, Danaher was very good in the ruck. very solid in the back line. And yeah, I know, what's his face? Jack Payne got killed by Ollie Henry, but Brisbane won the game, and after, midway third quarter to the end of the game, Brisbane was a better team, and the midfield got on top, the forward line got on top, and yeah. So Archie kick 3 was a big surprise, and he kicked some clutch goals, man. He kicked 2 in the last quarter. He was like, he was good. And Rayner in the last quarter, he kicked that one to seal the game. What a legend, honestly. And Loman kicked 1 goal 3, so imagine he would have kicked straight. They would have won by a bigger margin. And yeah, man, that Brisbane midfield killed the Geelong midfield. It didn't help that Max Holmes was injured, but man, that Brisbane midfield was killer. But Geelong, it was Dangerfield, Stewart, Holmes, and Myers had a big impact. And Ollie Henry kicked his 4, and Jeremy Cameron kicked 2 goals 3. So Jeremy Cameron, if he would have kicked straight out of the Mad 1, Myers kicked his 2, Manor kicked 1, Dempsey 1, Blixstars 1. Yeah. So only that, Brisbane only won by 10, but Geelong up by 20 plus. So I guess Geelong let it slip, and especially the MCG, Geelong plays very well there compared to Brisbane. But Brisbane get the big win, and now they're into the grand final against Sydney, and very unexpected result, because obviously Brisbane were the underdogs, and Brisbane came from 5th place to the grand final, which is a very rare thing to do, 5th place to the grand final. But they've played, the grand final will be their 3rd away game, so they would have played 3 away finals. Imagine if they win, that's great, if they win the grand final. But I think Sydney should be able to win the grand final. But there's 1v5, and Sydney's had the easier run to the grand final. They had the week off and all that, and they only had the travel. It's their first final they had to travel to from the SCG. So I got Sydney winning. Should be a close game. For Norm Smith, I'd say Heaney. Heaney should have maybe 2 goals, and you'll probably win the Norm Smith. And should be a close game though. But Brisbane could win, obviously. But Brisbane will be the underdogs again. Another game with the underdogs. But Sydney, I got Sydney winning. But even though Brisbane will be very hungry, especially Lachie Neale and all them, they've been so close so many times. But I got Sydney winning, and Longmire be a second grand final win under him, and should be an amazing game. And both were going for redemption, but Sydney lost the grand final 2 years ago, and Brisbane lost last year. So it's the 2 runner-ups the last 2 years facing each other. So one gets to redeem themselves and one doesn't. And can you imagine if it was like as close as last year's? It'd be so good, man. I see that happening too, because I can't see Sydney blowing them out the park. I see Sydney but usually Sydney starts slow, so it's either Sydney will start slow and come back and win, or Brisbane will start slow and come back and make it close and win. So it's like, it shouldn't be a big margin unless, I don't know. Unless Grundy really dominates the ruck and really kills the Brisbane midfield. But I can't see the Brisbane midfield like losing to the Sydney midfield. It should be quite an even thing. It was Heaney, Gould and Warner versus Neale, McCluggage, Berry, or Neale, McCluggage, Ashcroft. It was very even. I know Sydney got them all Australians, but Neale was a Brownlow medalist. And like McCluggage, very fast, Berry, very fast, and Berry could do a tag job. Same thing with Sydney. Robon could do a tag job. So there's gonna be a lot of tagging around, and like, who do they put on Zorko, and who do they put on Archie maybe, or who does Archie go to? It's a lot of big matchups. So, and they announced the teams, and the only ins and outs was Darcy Fort in for Oscar McInerney. You know, Brisbane win. I feel bad for Oscar McInerney. He's been a legend in the ruck recently. But he popped out his shot twice in the game against Geelong in the prelim. So it's always a sad story, always an injury story at the end of the year. So if they win, he'll miss out. I feel bad for him. And Tyler Adams, again, another grand final he's missing out on. He's on the list too, but he's healthy this time. But I don't know, he's not good enough to break into this team. But if he came in, who comes out, you know? And Callum Mills too, hamstring injury, I think, 2 weeks ago in training, so he won't play. So imagine if Sydney win and Callum Mills misses out. It feels sad for the guy, but injuries happen at this time of year. Because if Mills was playing, who would come out? See, I don't know. Maybe Campbell, maybe McInerney, I don't know. And obviously, if McInerney was playing, Fort would be out. But yeah, then think about it. McCarthy got injured, ACL start of the year. Coleman as well. So those 2 would miss out on a grand final win if Brisbane won. So we look at the injury list. Both teams have a very minor injury list, but like Brisbane, Coleman, Duday, Gardner, McCarthy, McInerney. That's the main players that are missing out. In Sydney, it's only Mills. But yeah, Brisbane were 0-3 at the start of the year. Now they're into a grand final. Pretty crazy. And think about it, if they would have beat Collingwood at the G, I don't know how many weeks ago, maybe around 22 or 21, they would have been top 4. I wouldn't have to go through this hard path, sort of thing. But still, fifth from grand final is a crazy effort, and I just think Sydney have played less in the last month, so they'll be more well rested compared to Brisbane. And Brisbane had a lot of hard games, actually coming from behind in the semi and the prelim. So I got Sydney winning, and yeah, Rampy will get his grand final win, and Lloyd, and they've been there a long time. 10 years would be their 4th grand final each. So I see it. Sydney winning, and the best team all year. I see them winning, and but should be an amazing game. And Archie went to my school, so what a guy. And Logan McDonald went to Aquinas. Chad Warner went to Aquinas. So there's a few WA boys in this game. And the emergencies of each team: Aaron Francis, Peter Adams, and what's his name? Caden Clare. In the Brisbane emergencies: Darren Joyce, Harry Sharp, and who are you? Henry Smith. The guys I never. Yeah. But yes, should be lots of interesting matchups in this game, and we'll see who goes crazy. But Zach Bailey had a very good grand final last year, and Danaher played pretty well last year too. And Lachie Neale wasn't that good, but he got tagged. But we see how Lachie Neale responded in a grand final. But we know Lachie Neale's hungry. This will be his 3rd grand final, so he'll want to win it. He's been in a lot of prelims too. He's played a lot of finals, nearly his 20th final, I think. So he'll be very hungry for a grand final, and all of them will be there. All the experienced players, and all the young guys too. But the experienced players have been there so many times, and so many close chances, will want to be really hungry. That's why this grand final is so it's hard to pick. But yeah, I got Sydney by a very edge, and I just think Sydney are more talented. Midfield, back, forward, ruck. There's a lot more talented. Not by much, but I'd say Sydney has the best list in the competition. I'd go Sydney, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs at the top 3 lists in AFL. Yeah, it should be a very, very good game. What else there to say? Not much. Thank you for listening. So long.